Welcome to Moving Forward, conversations on culture, identity, healing, and hope. I'm your host, Linda Anderson, and I created this podcast as a space for real, heartfelt conversations with people who are reflecting, evolving, and boldly stepping into what's next. This podcast was born out of my own journey through seasons of loss, transition, and transformation, and my belief that healing happens when we come together to share our stories. My hope is that these conversations will inspire you to pause, reflect, and find courage as you move forward in your own life.
Today, we're having a very special episode. I'm your host, Yuri Gonzalez. Don't worry, you didn't click on the wrong podcast. This is Moving Forward with Linda Anderson. I'm here today because on this episode, we'll be interviewing Linda Anderson herself. Today, we get to hear Linda share her journey and what moving forward means to her in her life. Hi, Linda. Welcome to your podcast. Are you nervous?
Hi, Yuri. Yes, thank you. I do feel a little strange to be welcomed to my own podcast. And to be honest with you, there's definitely some nervous energy, and there really is because I can feel my heart beating. But when you pour your heart into creating space for other people's stories, turning that spotlight on yourself, to me, is definitely vulnerable. But I also know that moving forward does require honesty, so I'm embracing it.
Be prepared for a courageous conversation. I'm excited for today.
There you go.
Joining me today are Linda's 3 adult children, Lindsay, Kyle, and Eric. They'll be the ones asking their mother questions today. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. How are you guys?
Great.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having us on, Mom. Thank you, Yuri.
Excited for this podcast, and yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Super. Been listening to the episodes. Excited to be a part of this time. So
Me too.
yeah, can't wait to
excited.
get started.
Me3.
This is fun. I've never done an audio podcast, so this is kind of cool because I listen to a lot. And now
Yeah,
it's
me.
Mom.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, how do we do this? This is weird.
All right, Kyle, I think we're talking too much. Calm it
Yeah.
down.
Okay, enough about you guys. Let's keep it moving. It's about Mom. Let's go.
Okay, calm down over there, Lindsay. Our family in a nutshell.
All right, this episode will focus primarily on Linda and her marriage to her wonderful husband, Curtis Anderson, whose birthday is today, this episode's premiere date. Happy birthday, buddy. For today's podcast, each of Linda's children will take turns asking their mother questions that they prepared. So let's begin. Lindsay, let's begin with you. What's your first question for your mom?
What did being Dad's wife mean to you throughout your life together?
And it definitely was a great life. So here we go. So Lindsay, being your dad's wife was honestly one of the biggest blessings of my life. And listeners, I'm going to try to not cry through this, so bear with me. Even though he's been gone for almost 4 years now, the love that we shared is still such a big part of who I am. It's been woven into everything, how I think, how I love, and how I move through the world. When we met as high school seniors, and actually we met when we were 14, but as high school seniors is when we started dating. And your dad, he had the strength about him. He wasn't loud. He wasn't showy. He was just steady. And he had integrity that was something I wish everyone had. He was so authentic, and his faith was real. And really what drew me to him most was that I could trust him completely. He was honest in his kindness and grounding without ever making me feel small. He never did put downs. And he loved in a way that didn't keep score. He was just pure. He was steady. He definitely knew the value of unconditional love. And being his wife also meant learning to navigate a world that didn't always understand our relationship. As a white woman loving a Black man, especially when we were young, we had to stand together in ways that shaped me deeply. It made me stronger, more compassionate, more aware of who I was and my surroundings. And I'm so grateful for that and will always be so grateful for that. But more than all of what I just said, being Dad's wife meant building a life with someone whose spirit lifted all of us. It lifted you, Lindsay, Kyle, Eric, and me. It meant laughter in little everyday moments, and I could still hear, see, and feel those laughters. Hanging in there during the hard ones and holding on to a love that continues to echo in our family. I miss him every day. But I'm also thankful every day. The years I had with him taught me what partnership really means, what it looks like to love with honesty, faith, and commitment. And I see so much of that in the way you live your life, Lindsay, the way you love your kids, and the way you show up in your own, sorry, in your own marriage. So when you asked me what being Dad's wife meant to me, it meant everything. And the best part of that love are still here in you, in your brothers, and in our family. Thank you for starting this podcast off the way it should be, because I really want to get across about moving forward, because then you'll hear that through our conversation today. Even though it's bringing a little emotion, moving forward does cause emotion. So I really want to get that across to the listeners. Yes, it's opening some things in me, Lindsay, Kyle, and Eric, but they'll always be there. So thank you for that question.
Thank you, Linda. That was very emotional and very sweet. Kyle, you're next. What do you want to ask your mom?
Well, Lindsay started us off with a banging question, so now my question is, what advice would you give yourself in that first year of marriage to Dad?
Okay, so Kyle, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, and I think about this often, in that first year, I think I'd tell her a few simple things. And here they are. First, I tell her to breathe. And all the listeners, we've definitely kept moving forward in our family, but I always felt like I had to figure everything out right away. And nobody does in the beginning, even if they pretend that they do. We don't. So that's one. Breathe is critical. Then I'd also tell her to give herself more grace. Stop trying to be perfect and just focus on loving people, learning and growing during your first year of marriage. It's so, so important. I'd remind her to slow down and really take in those small moments, because you're rushing, you're doing so many different things, but slow down and just take it all in, because those little everyday things end up meaning the most later on. I tell her to trust the love she had, to communicate and to forgive quickly. I want to emphasize that. Forgive quickly and to laugh more. Life gets really hard sometimes. It does. Sometimes, there are times, yes. But the foundations you build in those early years end up carrying you through more than you'll know. Those early years, if I just knew that the communication your dad and I were having really helped in our years to come, where a lot more struggle happened. And honestly, I would reassure her that the mistakes that I was afraid to make weren't the end of the world. And that's those that know me. Kyle, as you know, Mom, I don't like to make mistakes. What matters was that I showed up, how I loved, and how I kept moving forward. So, Kyle, that's what I tell her. And Kyle, I guess part of me is part of me is telling you the same thing. Give yourself grace, breathe, slow down. The way you love, the way you grow, the way you keep showing up, that's what really matters. And Kyle, and to Lindsay and Eric, you do show up, but slow down, because what you're taking in now really does matter. And that's what I would tell myself in our first year of marriage.
Life's too fast. I can't slow down.
Yeah, it's moving too fast in 2025.
It's a whole different ballgame.
It's a different time than the 80s.
But you can still slow down and take it all in because you don't get to do this over again.
Every day's a learning experience.
And Kyle, I hope you heard those words that I said to you
Yes, I did.
because I know your life is moving fast.
I know how to slow down to move faster, so I'm slowing down to move fast.
Or just don't sleep. It's underrated.
Well, Kyle's got some great kids. He's raised them very well
Yes, he has.
He does.
He
in
does.
all of his trials and everything.
Tribulations. Yep,
Him and Angelica have done a great job.
they definitely have.
Agreed.
A lot of love.
All right, Eric, it's your turn. What's your question?
So my question is, how did you and Dad first meet, and what drew you to him?
So Eric, I know you've heard this, but the listeners definitely don't know this. So we met our freshman year in high school. We were part of the same group of friends. We kind of all hang out together between our classes and after school. But there was something about your dad that from the very beginning that drew me to him. And remember, we're a biracial couple, but I noticed how kind he was. He treated everyone the same. He had respect, patience, and he had this quiet, and it carried him through his life journey, this quiet goodness that just came naturally to him. And I'm using the keyword naturally. What drew me to him wasn't anything flashy, it was his character. He saw the best in people, he listened, he didn't judge. He had this calm strength about him, even as a teenager. And that did stay with him his whole life. And I felt safe with him, really, really, really safe in a way I hadn't felt with anyone else. And over time, that friendship grew. It turned into something deeper, something I knew was rare even then. It was definitely rare, the feeling I felt for your dad. It was definitely not the same as other relationships. And Eric, I want you to know this part too. And so listen carefully. You carry so many of the qualities that first drew me to your dad. His kindness, his steady heart, the way he cared for people without asking for anything in return. I see all of that in you. When your dad was struggling with sickle cell and you were living with us, you brought a strength and gentleness into the home that helped both of us more than you probably realized. And and after he did pass away, you were there for me in ways I'll never forget. You remind me of him every day, not because you try to, but because it's who you are. Naturally, you are that person. And I love you.
Love you too, Mom, and thank you for that. I will say, just adding in, I'm like a good man, but Dad was, I hold him to, he was on such a different level than all of us. His steadiness, his strength, his kindness, his love, his openness, his willing to want to be there for everyone while this man was in pain every single day. It's a pain that none of us will ever understand. Like, we just won't. We just have never lived with it. But the fact that his character could maintain and be steady with just his spirit and his person and that all those qualities is to me and it's just amazing. He was such an amazing example to all of us. And yeah, I thank you for saying that. But yeah, it's just I could see like why you were attracted to him and why like you wanted to be with him. And I can just see it. I can see the first engagement you two had together. And actually, speaking of that, when was like the first contact? That's kind of what my question. I wanted to know like when was like the first interaction?
Our
Can you
very
go
first,
back that far?
sure. Our very first date was February 22nd, 1978. and we went to see Grease at a
Nice.
in a movie theater.
Nice.
That was our first date.
That's cool. Did he buy you popcorn?
I'm sure I don't remember, but yes, I'm sure he did.
Did you guys have slushies back then? Because we have slushies.
You did.
Probably held her hand.
Yeah, we held hands. Yes, we did.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing that with us,
Okay.
Mom. And thanks for the call out and love you guys too.
All right, Kyle, what's your next question?
So, Mom, I wanted to ask you, what does moving forward to you mean compared to moving on?
All right. So, Kyle, to me, there is a big difference between moving forward and moving on. First of all, moving on feels like you're supposed to close the door, forget, or leave something behind. And that's never been my truth, especially when it comes to your dad, to our family, or to the parts of my life that shaped who I am. So moving forward, though, that's different. Moving forward means carrying the love, the lessons, the memories, all of it with me while still taking the next steps. It's about honoring what was without staying stuck in it. Moving forward, it kind of it lets me grow. And that's critical now, especially at this season of my life. Losing your dad, I need to move forward, but I'm still listening and feeling everything I felt, but it lets me heal. Moving forward is allowing me to heal. It lets me become who I'm meant to be now in this season of my life without erasing the people or the moments that got me here. So for me, moving forward is about living with intention, like what's next. It's about choosing hope. It's about choosing purpose. And it's also about keep living fully. And that's something I'm working on so hard right now in this season of my life, even with the grief and the change, and even with the unknown, because I don't know what's ahead. I don't want to move on from anything that mattered to me. I don't want to move on from that. I don't want to leave it. I do want to move forward though, but I do want to keep moving forward, but with gratitude for what I had and also faith in what's ahead for me. So that is the difference to me of moving forward to moving on.
Excellent. Thank you. Erica, what do you have for your mom?
That was a great answer, Mom. So my next question's good, but I feel like you talked about a lot of dad's qualities. But so my question is, what qualities did you admire most in him, especially in how he lived with sickle cell?
So, when I think about the qualities that I admired most in your dad, and yes, I have touched on those, but I want to get more into the sickle cell part because of what he was able to do with his life, even dealing with sickle cell. He went through, especially when he went through what he went through living with sickle cell. What stands out the most to me is his strength, his patience, and his spirit. He had and has, and it's all around us, such a strong spirit. He went through more pain than most people will ever know, but he still carried himself with such grace. He didn't complain. He didn't want pity, definitely did not want pity. And he kept showing up for all of us. I remember Christmases and thanks and all holidays and any time that he showed up with that smile and that grace and the laughter and the singing, and yet he was in pain. There was this calmness about him always, even on his very, very hard days. He had such a way of grounding me, and I needed grounded a lot, of grounding our family, and through everything, through his doctor visits, through his flare ups, which he had many, his hospital stays, he did stay kind. And that's something I'll always admire about him because I was a very high strung I am still. And yet his kindness, it didn't come or go. You could always depend on him. Even though he did not feel well, you can always depend on feeling that
Yeah.
kindness. He also found joy in the simple things, being together, talking, laughing, watching each of you grow. Those were everyday moments which meant everything to him. And even when he wasn't feeling well, he still wanted to be there. Sorry.
He was very steady,
Yes.
even in his like
And and yet
mind of hurt.
and yet, Eric, it took a lot of courage, more than any of us probably realized at the time. And each of you brought something out in him. Lindsay, you brought out his pride and protectiveness. He loved watching the strong woman and mother that he's watching from afar.
No, he's very much here.
He's very here. That you are becoming. And Kyle, you brought out his steady side. He saw so much of himself in your heart and your determination. And Eric, you brought him comfort and companionship. He leaned on your kindness more than you will ever know. So when I think about your dad, I think about his resilience, his gentleness, and a deep love for his family. But I get further into this, but he it loved everybody. Those were the qualities that defined him, even in the hardest moments. And those qualities do live on in each of you, each one of you, and in the children, in the grandchildren.
I think one of the things I also remember Dad living with sickle cell is his stillness. So it's similar to steadiness, but Dad was always so poised, so even keeled, and so calm. And I just remember him always being so still. And it was very, very profound. And it was a very subtle piece of his character that I think a lot of us can take from because it's really important to remember to be still in the moment and just absorb all of it. So that's one, but I just want to add that.
All right, thank you, Linda. Lindsay, your turn.
What was the biggest strength of your marriage?
I said this a little bit in the last question, but I think the greatest strength of our marriage, it was the way our strengths balanced each other. We were very different in some ways, but those differences fit together in a really meaningful way. He was steady, calm, and grounded, and I tended to look ahead, move quickly, and carry a lot at once. So his steadiness always brought me peace, and my energy helped guide us forward. So there was peace, and then how are we going to move forward? We definitely respected each other's strengths instead of competing with them. We trusted one another. We communicated honestly, even when the conversations were hard. We knew, and I'm going to stress this to the listeners, we definitely knew how to have courageous conversations, and sometimes the words weren't the best. And we always made decisions with the understanding that we were on the same team. Those courageous conversations led to possibly not talking, but then moving forward, coming back again and solving. So life did brought us challenges, especially with his illness, but that balance, his calmness paired with my determination, helped get us through things that maybe many couples never face. We leaned on each other without shame, and we allowed each other to be human. So if I had to name our greatest strength, it was that we balanced one another, we complemented each other in a way that made our marriage strong, steady, and resilient. And I'm very thankful for that.
Love that you use the word balanced.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question. So you said you guys relationally had courageous conversations. Would you say like another word is more openness on like how you were feeling? Because I think
Yeah.
in the year 2025, I think a lot of relationships suffer because there's just not that openness. Do you think you and dad had, I mean, yeah, can you like elaborate, like,
Yes,
because,
we did, but there were times where those courageous conversations, openness led to, I don't want to talk right now.
well, right, but you were open with each other, so you didn't harness like bitterness and
No, we definitely did
anger
not do that.
and
It's the hard conversation.
One of the biggest things that your dad and I always worked on was not going to bed angry. That was the hardest
nice.
part that we solved. And even though the words were not always the best, because they weren't, we moved forward. I don't want to say we moved on, we moved forward so that we could sleep and then we continued conversation in the morning. But yeah, we definitely had that openness, without a doubt.
Nice.
So, Eric, go ahead and give your mom your final question.
What was the strongest act of love you gave during your marriage?
Hmm.
What was the strongest act of love you received during your marriage or like relationship? Doesn't just have to be marriage.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely during the marriage because there was a lot, but I think the strongest act of love that I gave during our marriage was helping him believe in himself. Let me explain that. Especially on the days when his illness made everything harder. So, like we all know, your dad was an artist at heart. That was his passion. That's what he thrived in. That's what he loved. He saw beauty in everywhere. Everywhere he went, every person, but a lot of people don't see the beauty that he saw, but sometimes the weight of his sickle cell made him doubt himself. It made him doubt his own strength, his gifts, and his purpose. So he had a lot of doubt at times. I tried to be the voice that reminded him of who he really was, that he was talented, thoughtful, creative, and capable of so much more than his body allowed. Supporting him and encouraging his art, reminding him that he still had something special to give the world. That was my greatest act of love. And let me just say, Curtis struggled. He didn't know sometimes how to move forward because he felt he was not doing it right, but really encouraging him. So, my act of love I felt was having those empowering conversations and keeping him going. The strongest act of love that I received from him was a sense of safety and the steadiness he brought to my life. He loved with such quiet integrity. I never had to question whether he was truly with me. I knew he loved me. I felt it in the way he listened, the way he respected me, the way he believed in our family. He was so loyal, so honest, and his calm spirit, which I still feel to this day, were gifts that grounded me. He made me feel seen, valued, safe in a way that I'd never known before. And that steady love shaped me, and it still does today. And that's really what moving forward means to me, carrying his love with me, not as something I've lost, which is very difficult to get to that point, but as something that still guides me. And that is what is strengthening me every day and lights the path ahead. And that's what I'm moving forward with now. That love that I'm still holding on to.
Lindsay, let's hear your final question.
How do you think your relationship with dad shaped who you are today?
Okay, so let's get into this. My relationship with your dad shaped me in ways that are still happening, they're still unfolding. Being loved by him gave me a sense of, keep using the word steadiness, but that is so what he gave me, and safety. And it allowed me to grow into myself. He had, again, this calm, honest way of loving that taught me again to slow down, to trust more, and to look for the good in people. I'm still learning that. Something he was so naturally gifted at, and he was. So another one of his many gifts. He showed me what a true partnership looks like. Not a perfect, but patient. Not loud, but consistent. So uh, being with him taught me how to listen better, how to stand beside someone through the hard moments, and how to build a life rooted in respect and love. That shaped how I became a mother and how I try to show up for each one of you, even now. And I think one of the things that touched me the most was how he loved the people that you all brought into our lives. He welcomed your spouses with open arms, without hesitation. And I know he's watching Eric and keeping his arms spread for Marissa. And he always found the positive in them, their strengths, their intentions, and their hearts. Watching him do that taught me to embrace the people you love in that same way. And I try to carry that forward. So much of who I am today, the way I see people, the way I love, the way I try to lead with compassion comes from the years spent with him. His presence, it shaped me. And even now, I feel the guidance of his love that we shared as I keep moving forward. I'm very fortunate that Curtis was in my life and continues to be in my life.
Nice.
You're
Wait, Mom, I have a question. You
wait,
said dad's keeping his arms spread for Marissa?
Yes.
I know. She has a lot of the same qualities as him. It's kind of crazy.
lastly, Kyle, what's the last thing you want to ask your mom?
So, Mom, I was going to go in the direction of if Dad was still around, what would be one thing you would ask him? But listening to this podcast, there's a lot of great things that you and Dad, in your many years of marriage, that you guys exemplify as a married couple. It's like you guys have been role models for myself and my wife and Helica, and for Lindsay and for Mark, and for will be for Marissa and Eric. And it's something a lot of us wish we could do, the years of marriage. But as I'm sitting here listening to this podcast, I'm thinking like, man, there are some things sometimes in marriage that are we regret, right? Or there's things that we do that we regret. So I don't know if you can answer that question if he was around. If there's one thing that you would ask him, or if there's any regrets that you have
Mhm.
that if he was around, you'd want to share with him before he was gone.
I
I
have
don't know if
no,
regret's the best word for it, but I think, there are sometimes things that we hold on to that we don't share, right? Even in marriage. And so if he was around, is there one thing or anything that you would want to be like, hey man, if I could talk to this guy one more time, this is what I'd want to share.
I don't have regrets of our marriage per se, none. I do have regrets at the end. So yes, I'm actually just to listeners as I'm trying to move forward and get to this next phase, my regrets is the way I handled the end. So to him, and I actually said it to him when he was, his final time to forgive me because it was tough. It was a tough time. So and I'm going to tell you, that is my only regret that I have with our marriage because it was a very tough time and the emotions got the best of me. However, dad being who dad was and his calmness and his integrity and his authentic, all of it, when I did say, please forgive me, he said, I don't have anything. I don't need to forgive you. I love you. So that was one of the almost ending things that he said to me because that's who he was. So my regret is only that. And with that goes, watch my words. So continuing learning, watch my words, which is what dad's consistently taught me. So hopefully I answered your question because his faith, his loyalty, his love was always, I mean, dad had the strongest of so much and he taught me so much. So regrets, no, I honestly do not. I'm thankful that I married the man I did. I know we had a biracial marriage. There were tough at times because I couldn't see through his lens and what he went through as a black man. But I have no regrets at all because of the love that we shared. And again, the only regret was handling the way I did at the end. That was it.
So, Mom, I was there at the end. I was there the last year. I think I can still remember to this day how hard it was. And I still remember sitting him on the couch and asking him, hey, like, what's going on? Because you and I both are like, what's going on? I think you need to give yourself some grace. I think dad's strength and his pride was very strong. And I think he just didn't want us to worry.
Mhm.
And I think you need to give yourself grace on just some of the fights and things that were happening. I think you need to give yourself some grace. And I also think this is a great reflection on dad's character is the way he handled his life and how much pain. I mean, the man was so much pain. I don't know. I think you just need to give yourself grace. It was a very tough last year.
So, Eric, if I can interrupt, the grace that I got at the end when he did say those words, I got
Right,
it from the man that showed me grace throughout.
right,
So I learned that at the very again
right.
and
I
again
mean,
and again.
on his dying day, he,
That said, I
I
love you.
just,
Yeah.
I think
I
that
just,
ex I think
I,
that example too just shows you the type of character he had.
Yep.
Because we all were freaking out because we're all hurting. Like, what's going on with our father, our husband? Oh my God, we're like getting to the end. Like, this is crazy.
Hmm.
But this man maintained. He was steady. Even until his last breath, he still had those conversations for you with you. I mean, the man maintained that steadiness until he died.
Okay,
So,
so on that, wait, so on that note,
well,
to the listeners that are listening to this, and it's about moving forward and about conversations, what we're having right now is on healing and hope. So, Lindsay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I
okay.
think one thing that we didn't note is his faith, and I think that he was so connected and woven into his faith that he knew he was going home, and he knew that through his strength and his faith, he was going to be okay. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think we've really touched on his faith a lot in this, but that's probably one of the biggest qualities I think I will always remember Dad for is his strength and his faith and his belief in Christ. And so I think that's also, a reason why.
It's
I
just,
want
it's,
the listeners really to walk away from this with how we all move forward and how dad moved, how I move
yeah,
forward and what the importance of moving forward as you are healing and
right.
you do have hope that you can keep moving forward. So
Yeah. And you are moving forward, Mom. And I hope that one day, because you got closure at the end, and God willing, we got that closure because we couldn't have gotten that, but we did. God was looking out for us. But I hope that one day, that year that you had regret, you can just not think about it anymore because you were there for him through a lot. And he was there for you through a lot. And your guys' marriage is, in my mind, like a pinnacle of what a marriage should be, between the openness, between the back and forth, the fighting, the never giving up, the love, the character that you both carried in it. It's just, I mean, you don't really see this very much. Maybe, I don't know, one in every 100 years. So, yeah, that's all I want to say.
thank you, Eric.
I was hoping for something a little skimpier on that question from you, Mom. Not exactly that part of what you just said. That was a little deep, so I didn't mean to put you in that kind of a spot. I don't think you should regret that either, but I agree with
No,
Eric.
you didn't put me in any spot, Kyle. I
Yeah.
mean,
I was
when
hoping like maybe you were like, hey, and after the first year of marriage, I went to Mexico with my girlfriends and went streaking on the beach, and I hid that from Dad. I'm just kidding.
Something lighter.
that might be a bleeper.
So,
No.
something lighter.
No, I don't. And the thing about moving forward is you have to be true and honest to yourself. You're not going to heal if if you're not. And I've had a lot of chance to reflect. And moving forward is about reflecting. And again, you asked me that question, Kyle, moving forward, moving on. This isn't moving on, this is moving forward. How do you move forward in your life? And in order to do that, going through, again, being in a biracial marriage, raising three biracial kids, having kids that are 10 months apart. Dad and I went through all this together. And he was sick when I was in the hospital with Lindsay. I mean, we can go on and on and on, but we kept moving forward. Why? Because we'd heal and we knew and we had hope that things would, and we
And
had,
faith, you had faith.
and I had, we
Don't
strong
forget about
faith.
your faith.
We had strong faith and we experienced a lot of good, a lot. I wouldn't change one single thing. A lot of laughter, like I said, a lot of fun, a lot of memories, so many memories. So
So I guess to end
What's
the
that?
podcast, I'll go back to my original question that I was going to ask you, Mom. If you
On
could
you.
talk to Dad right now, what would you ask him?
Basically, I would love to know what he thinks about, like, what does he see us doing in our family right now, and how things are going, and watching things that are happening now.
He's going to be like, Eric, we moved out. I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, and I found a partner. But
He
mom,
found a
wouldn't you
partner.
wait, I have a question. Is that like wouldn't you want to ask him like how he's doing?
Well, okay, yeah, I would. Let me get to, okay. So the first thing that I'd ask him is whether he sees the people that each of you have grown into. What does he see? What is he seeing? I would want to know if how proud he is of you and the lives and the kindness and the respect and all the character traits that he has that he is now seeing. I'd ask him if he knows how his example shaped the way that you loved Kyle, the way that you show respect and steadiness in your marriage, the way Eric brings honesty and gentleness into his relationship, and the way that Lindsay leads with compassion, conviction, and deep care for people. So I would like him to know that those qualities didn't come from nowhere. They came from what he modeled every single day. And that goes back to dad not really being sure of himself, but that he is seeing this. I want to ask him if he sees how we've stayed connected as a family. That was so important to him, how that we've supported each other, we're carrying forward with the values that he lived by, his faith, his loyalty, his love without any condition. I'd also like to ask him, I think I'd ask him if he knows truly how loved he was. And let me emphasize that, because he was not only loved by our family, he still is loved by our family, but also by so many people that he didn't realize.
Yeah.
The people's lives that he touched, he did not realize that. And that's unfortunate. And to listeners, I want to say that let people know how much you care. Let them know how much you love them, because that's something that I would really want him to hear again, that people absolutely loved and respected him. But most of all, I'd ask him this very simple question, which is, are you at peace? Because
Mm,
And do you see us continuing forward with your love still guiding us? Because that's what really moving forward means to me. Not leaving him behind, not never, but carrying the best of him with us into whatever comes next. So that's what I would talk to him about.
You forgot one thing.
What?
what?
His grandbabies.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
How are they doing? What
Yeah.
do you think about them? How beautiful are all of them?
Yes.
He loved his grandchildren.
Yes, he did.
Aurora still
I would
talks about him.
have, what's
He did.
that?
I said
He
Aurora
loved
still talks about him. The last time she saw him,
Lindsay.
Yeah,
she was
Lindsay.
two.
He loved his family.
he did.
His family was sacred to him, and that's everybody.
Well, and
It's
to
not,
the
Thank you, Eric.
family was sacred to dad. He would say it all the time that how blessed he was to have the family he did. So to the listeners, I wish
anyways.
you could have met this man, because he was definitely somebody who moved forward through so much.
Before we end the pod, I want to thank you, Linda, for agreeing to be interviewed today. I know you're not a big fan of the spotlight. I'd like to thank Lindsay, Kyle, and Eric for coming on today and asking your mom some very difficult yet wonderful questions. I feel blessed just being here, and I thank you all for letting me be a little fly on the wall in today's episode. Lastly, I want to thank you, the listeners, for tuning in to the Moving Forward podcast every week. Please subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. We're really proud and excited about moving forward. We want to reach as wide an audience as possible. So please take some time right now to rate and review the pod. The more reviews and ratings we get, the easier it is for people to find our podcast.
So again, I need to thank Yuri for everything he does for this podcast, and the producing and guiding us and guiding me. And thank you to my three kids, adult children, adult people, Lindsay, Kyle, and Eric, for being willing to step into this space with me. Sharing these moments wasn't always easy, but it was meaningful. And I hope it gave all of you listeners a glimpse into why this podcast exists in the first place. Moving forward isn't about leaving anything behind, It's about carrying the love, the lessons, and the people who shaped us, carry them with us, choosing to keep growing. That's what I've tried to do these past 3+ years. And it's what I hope this podcast encourages others to do as well. To everyone who listens each week, thank you for being part of this journey. Your support, your messages, your willingness to engage in conversations about culture, identity, healing, and hope, it means more than you know. And as we close today, my invitation is simple. Wherever you are in your own story, keep moving forward, not perfectly, not quickly, but with intention, with grace, and with the people you love beside you. And finally, happy birthday, my dear Curtis, from your Linny. Love you.
And kids, we love you.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday,
birthday.
Dad. Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you.